that new waitress with the eyes has been cooped up in a car with Kevin all afternoon. Bet the air inside her nose has melted with the stink.
I think Kevin will shower, but I think he puts the same dirty clothes back on.
Ta-da!
How are you?
Okay, look at you with that amazing backdrop. What's going on behind you?
Oh, it's my little den where I record my podcast or write my books. You look really well, Sally.
Do I?
Yeah,
Oh my God, it's been a long old journey. It feels like we're and how we're bookending it, Ollie. Like, you know, when we first chatted and then the world fell down and now we've kind of trying to stand back up again. And I just really want to salute you because I think your interview skills are extraordinary. And I've listened back to those podcasts that Chris and I did, and they're really good. Like genuinely, like, you know, Chris and I go off on a tangent, you know, and you pull it back. Your questions are intelligent. There's a through line to it. You're brilliant.
That's so kind of you.
I don't want to embarrass you, but I just think it's important to say, you know, we see interviewers on telly and podcasts and they come and they go and some of them are chances and some of them are good and some of them aren't good. And you're very, very, very good.
Well, my aim is to do you guys proud, you know, like, because I admire all of you so much. When we met, January 20th, I remember what a happy day that was.
It was a lesson to me that day because I suppose because I've written this play, there's been quite a lot of attention. And there's a naive bit of my brain that thought as a writer rather than actor, I could just scuttle under the radar. So I can hear in the podcast sometimes you ask me a question and I'll go, okay, this is about, right, fine, you know. But because Chris was there, all three of us just were having a really wonderful chat.
Yeah.
Did you feel that too?
I just remember feeling so welcome. You both made me feel part of a gang.
Yeah, you were, definitely. Very quickly, we liked you.
Camaraderie does flow, you know, and
what you say is camaraderie, and you hover over the R. And as actors, we're like that. Oh, that's fun. I like to say that, do that dialect, get that word in a script.
So from your perspective, not just as a playwright, but as a human being, like 2 months after we met and the country was plunged into lockdown, let's reflect on how things were for you, sort of a double whammy of having your play postponed, but also just from a human being.
Yeah, well, the play, that was quite interesting because Nigel Douglas, the director, and I are both quite committed human beings. I was in my house. My friend Laura Linney FaceTimed me from New York, and it was like the opening scene of a disaster movie. She was like, we're in the car, we've loaded up, we're getting out, we're going to the country. Oh my God, you know, what is going on? And I was like, oh, we're all right here. I was thinking, what's she overreacting for? Honestly, if I'd seen a tornado in the back of shot, I'd have thought, oh, yeah, you know, yeah. The car was loaded up, her husband was driving, son was in, which like, we're getting out. I said, oh no, we're carrying on here, you know. And Nigel and I would get emails from the cast. Is everything okay? What's going on? Like, yep, we're pushing forward until, you know. So really, we really did push right to the wire. And then as a human, it's a bit tragic, I think, because I just went, okay. I accepted the cancelling of it. Maybe there was a sort of tragic bit of my head, which the play really explores, this whole working class confidence thing. I think there was a bit of my head just went, oh, well, maybe that was never going to happen for me. So there we go. When I think back, I think it's heartbreaking, the way I accepted it. I've been speaking to a lot of my writer friends, and I have a friend who his play is rehearsing at the same time as mine, actually. You know, Stephen Beresford, who wrote Pride. We were due to go on at the same time just before we got cancelled, and now we're rehearsing in tandem. Wow. So we talk a lot, you know, and he says to me, if one more person says, are you excited? I'll punch him. And I was like, yeah, that's what people say. Are you excited? No, I'm not excited. I'm not a member of the audience who's won a competition to have my story acted. I don't know, it's funny, isn't it? Because I'm not a cautious person in life. I'll climb up on that building and, walk along the ledge. I am quite ballsy, but equally I'm a little bit on the back foot maybe about this production. Only the madness in my own ego. It's nothing to do. I mean, the play is. I went to see them do a run through. Ollie, I'm so excited for you to see it. Because you remember, you asked me, you were like, I can't remember what the exact question was, but you led me to the point where I said, I want this play to be everything I need when I go to the theatre. I want it to be funny, shocking, tragic, powerful, and I don't want to be bored. And I was watching them do this play. I was going, I'm absolutely gripped. I'm gripped. Great actors. They're great actors. And they've had this script for 2 years. 2 years to hang on to that script. I didn't want anyone in this play to have the smaller part or the part that's not quite as dynamic. They've all got a story and a journey and moment after moment after moment. I don't want anyone to be in the green room. I mean, I've been in 1,000 plays. People go, well, I mean, I should have taken that telly because I'm barely on in the second half. But there's none of that.
Has it stayed exactly as it was that you were rehearsing?
No. Both Stephen Beresford and I both said, oh, well, we can improve. You can always improve. You never stop editing. You're a writer. You never stop editing. I call it my 4 a.m. club when I wake up and think, actually, to say Man U is funnier than Man United. Jane, you know what I mean? So yeah. It's better now. It's better.
Shut up, it's not about you, okay? She's really badly burnt. He will be. He's hilarious.
Next it'll be waitresses dying. A pile of dead waitresses face down on top of the dirty banqueting cloths.
Oh, hello, legend.
Nice to see you, Oliver. Sal, you look lovely.
Oh, thanks, Chrissy.
You're welcome.
Oh. Anyway, I'm going to the loo.
How are you, Ollie? All right?
I'm very well, sir. It's great to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. You too.
I'm buzzed about seeing the still room.
When you come in?
Sally's very kindly invited me on the 7th from the press night. So
that's amazing, mate.
I'm very, very lucky and grateful. That's going to be special.
Right.
Look at that.
Seamless.
Yeah.
Seamless.
Hey, listen, I meant to say, I was on the platform at Wimbledon 2 weeks ago, and this man looked at me, and I looked at him, and then there was obviously an exchange of something, but I didn't know what it was. And then about 10 minutes later, he came up to me and he went, Sally? I went, yeah. And he went, it's Christopher. And I just went, oh, my God. So Christopher was a little boy that used to hang around outside the studios on his bike.
Wow.
And it really floored me. I just went, oh, my God. And what's interesting is when Doug Rao left, I got us all to make a little film for Doug where we were all pretending to be fans outside the studio. And I opened the film with Christopher coming down on his bike. So I had a little connection with him. He opened the film and there he was, a grown man with a beard. I thought, I can't believe you're a man. But he'd booked his ticket for the play. Andrew Lancel would know his surname, this guy, Christopher. I was in a black cab once and the driver went, where are you going in? I'm like, I'm off to do some ADR. Actor, are you? Yeah. Don't know a guy called Tony, do you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Speaking of voiceovers, because you've now got a home studio, Chris, is that all kicked off during the lockdown? You've settled that up? Lip service. Yeah. What do they describe it as? A cool and sincere Cockney lad with gravitas. I love that.
Cockney who likes eating cockles.
He's got a Pearly King outfit in his wardrobe.
Yeah, well, you had to do that from lockdown. You had to sort of like get your own little, you just had to move again. You know what I mean? You almost can't sit still.
I enjoyed your reel. Was the cross train, was that a sample or was that from?
No, I did one of them once. Yeah. they're good things to get into the old voiceovers. The best one I ever did was I made a load of noises. Do you remember the Vauxhall Corsa puppet? It was like a little puppet. But they're the most bonkers thing, voiceovers. You can just literally just use a noise.
Lucy Speed's very good at voiceovers. She said she had to do one recently where they wanted her to be a goat. And she did 6 versions where she was like a nervous goat, a cocky goat, cautious goat. I was crying.
And honestly, Ollie, it's that bonkers. It is that bonkers. That's how you got to just sort of the one that I had to do that Vauxhall Corsa puppet. They said, right, what we want is we want a cross between Ray Winston and Sid James. No words, and he's like this. I was like, and you just right now. Can you make that sound like you're a little bit upset? Ooh, it's like you haven't got a clue what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? It is
oh my God, I absolutely love that.
Our world, it's stupid. Yeah.
Obviously, when we met, it was January 2020. There was this real buzz and excitement about the play coming up.
I said to Sal, I'd gone on walks and pretty much learned 50% of my lines for the play. That's how close we was. He was like working on little walks and little bits and bobs for this character. God. I guess because just a bit older, I was just kind of, you get used to so many like whacks in this profession. I was kind of a bit more philosophical about it. I know that the younger girl, it was one of her first jobs, and I remember Sal said she'd had a cake made, and she was literally just, it's just like, it's our superpower, actors, it's our bloody superpower. You know what I mean? Something gets taken away from you, or you get, you just kind of get used to it and a little bit more weathered as you get older.
Her mum had a cake commissioned for her birthday with her sat on top of it, holding the still room script.
So you can imagine for like a 20-odd-year-old girl, that's like, for me, it just sort of shelved in my brain, thinking, all right, okay, what else can I get on with? And do you know what I mean? I've been putting a film together for about 2 years, and that would have been made by now as well. So that sort of went back on the back burner again. So they were the 2 bits that I was sort of focusing on for the next like 6 to 8 months if the lockdown hadn't come along. If anything, I've got a bit of an overactive brain anyway. So I did manage to smell the flowers metaphorically in lockdown. Do you know what I mean? I did manage to walk the dog, cook the food, and go back down to just, wow, there really is nothing that anyone can do. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, honestly, Chris, you're probably one of the people who sort of mentally benefited from being forced to stop.
Yeah, because I never do. My brain, it's just one of them brains. Do you know what I mean? It never does. I try to put all my other stuff aside since doing this. And I don't necessarily mean acting, because acting comes but I've got a little business, and my brain's always doing something. So when it stopped, it was just like, it's breaking down on the road, isn't it? There's nothing you can do. All of a sudden you're whizzing through life, you've broken down on the side of the road, and you've just stepped out of life, and life carries on, whizzes past, and there's nothing you can do about it. That was what lockdown was for me in a longer sense. And then, like anything, I think I got really used to it. I loved walking the dog. I loved just thinking, the alarm goes off at 3. I've got to pick the kid up, start cooking the dinner, and just kept it well simple, And then, if anything, it's like everyone, isn't it? I don't know about you guys, but it's hard, it's harder to get back to doing anything again. Do you know what I mean? Getting your brain back up to speed.
How far is it? Is that quite far from the tube? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know about a confidence thing, but you sort of think, God, like we say in them induction cell, as you get a bit your safety thing, your safety gets heightened. You get a little bit more scaredier as you get older. You just sort of think, can I still do that? Can I still do that? And then, of course, slowly things come back. Your brain starts, kicking in again.
I find myself saying the phrase quite a lot now. Pre-lockdown, no. Now, bucket, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more cavalier about taking risks and just, well, let's see what it is then.
Yeah.
Because we all thought we were going to die, didn't we?
Loads of people have half-written plays, haven't they? Or written a play. Writing a play is one thing. It's then going to do it, finding your money, finding a director, find someone that you trust, finding a space. It's like somebody donating money. Oh, they've said they'll donate money. Have they put it in your bank account yet? Have actually pressed send. There's so many different bits to it before you actually walk on stage. It's not just, I think I'm going to put You know, there's loads to it. So you've got to tip your hat to Sal for just keep driving forward, because at any point things can just fall apart.
It must have been a very special moment when you all got together again for the first time.
It was, to be honest, wasn't it, Chris?
Oh yeah. They're honestly, Ollie, no actor gives you a similar performance in the play due to Sally's characters. You know, they're just so different. There's 6 completely different people in the play. It's not like 2 mates who are kind of doing the same thing, or just they're all such different personalities. It's been brilliant to watch them come alive and watch them get better and finding moments. And the director's been absolutely fucking rock steady. Brilliant. I agree with 97% of his notes. You just think, oh yeah, of course. If you don't, you can go, actually, and he's brilliant and lets you explore something. And then if it doesn't work, he's been absolutely brilliant. Absolutely.
That's interesting, because do you remember when we last met? When I first started to talk about Nigel, I was saying that when we filmed an episode of The Bill, because it was a different director every episode, and you're thinking, who's this? And I said something like, I would watch him give the first 3 notes, and if I agreed with those notes, I'd go, right, okay, great, I'm on board. Tell me where to stand and what to do. I think you've got impeccable taste, and your instincts are right on the money. Go, let's go.
That's a lovely, not comfortable, but that's a lovely place to be when you're on a show or on a telly, or if you're thinking he's got me, he's totally got me.
Trust, just absolute trust.
Yeah. And even down to a sentence now, he breaks the sentence down thinking, oh, actually, he doesn't mean that. He actually means this. And you sort of think, all right, so it's just one little flick, one little look back, or one tiny little moment now. It's really broken down into, because we flew out the blocks and we had it on its feet, maybe 8 days we had it on its feet, thinking, God, he's kind of semi-blocked it. So we had loads more time to mess around with it. We put it on its feet the other on Friday as well, Ollie, for the first time in front of about 8 different people. And that was another step again. It was like you're giving it over again to somebody else. Like Sally was saying the other day, like you then give it to someone else. Now it's theirs to decide what they think of it. Do you know what I mean? We've been in it so much. It's like, it's really interesting watching it go and it will go again to the preview nights to like 90 people.
I mean, that's the other thing about Nigel, like I've been in most plays where, there's a timeline on the wall, and I'm not knocking this, I'm not mocking it or knocking it, I'm just saying, this is the way it often is. There'll be a timeline of events on the wall, and you'll write where your character fits and your journey, and then you'll provide a history of your character and and the older I get, I'm like, what am I wearing and where am I standing?
Yeah.
And where are the gags? Because you don't know, all you know is you've got opening night in your calendar. And you're marching towards the edge of the cliff. And I think what the advantage for us was, we didn't need a meet and greet day where we're like, oh, hi, where do you live? Oh, I'm near Bethnal Green. Oh, at the tube. It's like, bang, we've done the read through before we've even had day one. So stand up, here we go, let's go. And I think, particularly for the younger people, this girl who's never done a play before, I want to say to her, it's not always like this. You've done a run through in front of your mates, because Nigel is smart enough to know, let's see where the laughs are, because there's a massive talent in riding a laugh or holding and then dropping and I just think, wow, we're about to go into the theatre and they are already confident.
I think they did that quite naturally as well. So I don't think I said that to you on the phone the other day. I think the girls, there was some belly rolling laughs, and the girls just
wasted it.
Just naturally came to a nice slow down, 20 miles an hour, and picked up again. I noticed that they were doing that, and saying what she was saying, Ollie. That you don't teach someone that. That's the case of either you feel it, or you've got to have loads of people laugh at you to go, God, this is a different experience, before they miss the next gag and the next gag. But I think they did that really well. Yeah.
Without any spoilers, do you have a favourite moment or line of dialogue, Chris? Or what's the bit where you...
I've got a really, really, I don't think it'll give anything. I've got a really uncomfortable moment with this young girl that he fancies. He's trying to just pay her some compliments, and he just doesn't know how to. So he's just sort of saying what he sees, and he just gets tongue-tied halfway through paying her these compliments, and he just kind of conks out. It's just like, and it's absolutely toe-turning. he just conks out. He just doesn't know what to do. You know what I mean? And because no one comes in and saves him, he just keeps going. He just keeps going. And it's like that. Oh my God.
And I suppose because she's this unique to the play, really middle class character who's just like, she didn't feel the need to bail him out or make it. She's just like, okay.
It's great. It's really great. It's got lots of layers to it, I think. My sister watched it and she was like, she thought it was funny all the way through. She said, I could so tell that Sally had written it. She knows Sally as well. So I could so tell it was written by a woman, these wonderful lines. And she said, I laughed so hard in the first act. And then towards the second act, she said, I was fighting back the tears. And when I looked to the left, she said there was people crying. So she found it really emotional in the second act and laughing. No, she laughed all the way through. She laughed lots in the first act and wanted to cry loads in the second act. I was like,
we can't ask for more than that, can we?
I just text Sally that. I said, that's so simple. That's so beautiful. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And it must be, considering the journey we've all been on coming out of lockdown and everything, like for you as an actor to get that response from an audience, you there must be something special in here, getting buzzed about that intimate relationship between an audience again. Are you excited about living that again? Because
I would do theatre. If somebody gave me a choice, I would do theatre all the time. You know what I mean? It's not. They always say the old cliche. It's not for your pocket, the theatre. Do you know what I mean? It's for your soul and for your passion. And the other, the telly and the film stuff is just a bit slower for me. You get some great moments, but you just get to rewrite it every night. You just got a blank canvas every night. I'm going to go out again. And
it's funny, when I was watching the run through, so bearing in mind, obviously, I do know what happens in the play. The moments that caught me out were the moments where someone's feelings had been slightly hurt and the other people didn't realise they'd done it. Yeah. And several times I just went, oh, like, I really felt the resonance of that discomfort that humans experience. And I think it's kind of sometimes hard to show that on telly. I mean, obviously you can, because you hold the camera on somebody, don't you? But when you just see it in someone's body, that the air's just gone out of it. And we've all been on the end of that. Someone's just marched off into the sunset and you're going, you just really, really cut me to the quick with that comment.
Yeah. And because we've got so far as well, a lot of it is technical, Ollie. A lot of it is thinking, fuck, I've got to get. But because we've got somewhere, so we could be moved so fast with it, and really just sort of like going back a conversation, just accepted Nigel and thought, wow, there wasn't lots of arguing in the room. It was like, you get to a point where you can do a whole run and you're so comfortable with your words and your words and your positioning and your costume and your walk and your talk and your props. You can go in and do a run and put them aside and do a run where you're thinking about, all I'm going to do is thinking about listening to people.
Yeah.
All I'm going to do is just listen because I've got all the other stuff, and it's not even necessarily about your performance. You're going to listen to see how it makes you feel and stuff, and that's just a brilliant little level that people do watch. And the space we've walked into, this we've been in the space. It is like doing a bit of telly. You can be really small with your acting. You're not technically trying to hit the 500th person at the back of the thingy. We're all in it. There's not a bad seat in the house. So all the listening and all the bits and bobs, it feels like everyone's sitting on stage, Great, it's great.
For an interview with Shelley Duvall, she said that Stanley Kubrick had made her do like 170 takes often. And she was saying what you've just said, really, is that then you really listen, because you really know what you're doing, or you know what you're saying. So now you just boom, boom, listen, and thinking how wrung out she must have been, because it was the whole movie's emotional for her, isn't it? Just thinking, 172 takes. Oh my God.
I'd love to know what take that. I'd love to know see that.
Which
film.
Take he used, the first one.
Yeah.
Watched the one which is absolutely drained. Yeah, they used the first take.
Yeah.
It's lost on tape.
That's what Clint Eastwood does. He only does 2 takes max.
Wow.
Because there's that. Some people think you're never going to beat that first instinctive go.
There's a lot to be said for that, not beating the first one. There's a lot to be said, I think. Yeah.
I was saying to Sally before you came on, Chris, like for me as a member of the audience, I can't wait to see you in action live, because it's one thing to admire your work on screen, but for the fans of the bill as well, who've got this chance to see one of their heroes, saying words written by another of their heroes, they've got to come and see it, because it's a whole different experience that they don't want to miss out on.
The part that she's written, it's just like, my God, it's so not like me. It really is. It's a great part. It's a great part that I can put on a bit of a walk. I can put. It's not just coming on and doing. I've got lots of bits that I've sort of added and sort of little mannerisms, and thinking it's a great character part for me. It's a great character part. Whereas you write a part that's kind of, in your comfort zone, there's not much you've got to do apart from try to be as truthful and, a bit more, add tiny little bits. But this is like a million miles away from me, which is great.
Do you know, we even spent, I've got to tell you about Chris's costume because I think it's really interesting. So we spent a good 15 minutes discussing the length of his trousers. So what we've got is trousers that are just a little bit long at the back. They just come a little bit far down his shoe heel, but they're a bit short at the front, just to make him just look a little bit broken. We were desperately trying to get him a late 70s shirt because it's 1981, but he wouldn't have a modern, vintage warehouse after couldn't find it. In the end, we've got a seamstress, got 3 shirts from Primark, cut the collars off and built collars from the 3rd redundant shirt using the fabric to build a collar. I mean, like, that level of detail is just exciting, I think. No one's going to know, but we know.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I know it sounds daft, but you kind of think, but it's just another level when you put it on. Do you know what I mean? I know it sounds, I'll never forget the very first thing I ever heard like that was when Robert De Niro, playing Al Capone, the first thing he did was buy a pair of silk pants and wear them for like a week and felt what it was like to wear these silk pants, because that's what do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I know the tiniest little, but if you are a nerd, all I am is a nerd for acting, and especially if you've got a really good part, thinking all I am is a nerd for it, and that's it. It's just like when you just see it's just a bit too big, and you just adds the tiniest thing that somebody may or may not, like his suit is just one size too big. It just adds to him. It's just who he is. Do you know what I mean? It's like, hey Sal, in the thing, I did lots of taking the jacket off and on that we'd never done before. He says, because when you go into the kitchen, you don't have to have that jacket on. When you go into the kitchen, you can have that jacket hung up, and you want to see some stains under his arms. Brilliant. He's got a spray every time he comes off. He's spraying. He's brilliant.
So will the jacket hang up in the still room? Is that the idea?
It doesn't happen in the still room. Yeah.
Brilliant, Chris.
So he just gave me a bit of a free rein to sort of get it off and on as much as you can, as long as when you go to the restaurant, it's on. Do you know what I mean? I can talk.
Brilliant.
Rework a bit of the blocking and stuff. Yeah, it's great. I know it's daft, Ollie, but it is like things like that where you think, wow, it's another little level, and you've got another little,
Oh, I love it.
Because on telly, you can't see the hems on someone's trousers, can you? You're never going to see that, because on a long shot, where you get a full, you're never going to see that. So I love that in theatre that all that will be clocked.
And it's great that the Park Theatre have stuck with the project. And
yeah. And it's interesting that I see Harry Hill's musical is on at the same time as ours. He's written a musical called Tony, about Tony Blair. It's quite interesting because my play is inevitably political, and so I'm just kind of think that's really great. There's a sort of political twist going on,
Brilliant.
So what happened was I said to my neighbour, I left her a little poster on the doorstep. I was like, do you fancy this? So I've not lived here very long. And she was like, oh, I already know about this. So she said she'd seen Harry Hill on it or heard him talking about it, gone to the theatre website and then gone, oh, hang on, I know that name as well. So
it's cool. Have you been to the Park Theatre, Ollie?
Yeah, Nigel, bless him. After we recorded our podcast, I met up with Nigel at the theatre, and he took me to the stage and he was showing me how everything was going to be and describing it all. And it must have been 3 weeks after that we went into lockdown.
Oh, right, yeah. Definitely feels like the calm before the storm at the moment. Do you know what I mean? One of our girls is hurt her leg. It's loads of things. Always happens. She's hurt her leg. She's getting better. She's on crutches. She's torn a bit of her muscle. She's all right. I've twisted a little muscle in my back. it's all the things you just think, you just get into the line, just get out of the way. Do you know what I mean?
I remember when I was doing Hangmen, I remember on press night, I saw David Morrissey interviewed on telly, and he was literally like that.
God, yeah,
What the fuck's happened to him? And he just got this terrible cold and almost lost his voice. I was like, you know, he proper had to call on Dr. Theatre that night and get him through the next few shows. It's just, you know, it just happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like you've got an inbuilt thing going, just you can get me to the stage. It's like just an actor's thing, isn't it? You'd never like, oh, I don't think I can do it tonight. You're like, what?
And of course, the poor girl that's hurt her leg, you know, I keep texting her going, it's fine, it's just fine. Don't worry about it. Like, I honestly don't want her to worry about that, because she's so brilliant and she's so sure of who she's playing that even when she's been using her crutches in the scenes, it's like, Jesus, she's channeling Tony Sher and Richard III from the 80s, you know, and she uses them, and it's like, you can't take your eyes off her.
So it's like somebody going on with the book. I said the other day, I was like, I've instantly forgotten she's on crutches. It's like to the point of, dare I say it, she'll fucking hobble around that stage on her crutches and just crack on with it. It's like pretty damn sure that if she had to, that's what she'd do. She did one rehearsal of sitting down, and she just couldn't do it. She could, but she just, you know, she wanted to be on the stage, so she's just been moving around. Yeah, she's got, you know, if you've never been on crutches, your arms get sore, and because you're using,
my God, it's tough.
So she's used to that now. She's fine, you know. She now does the show. She'd fall over if she lost her crutches.
Yeah.
So my 4 a.m. club used to be, oh, that word should be the other side of that word. Now my 4 a.m. club is, right, why would she be on crutches? Has she sprained her ankle in the nightclub, or, you know, like really trying to just think, has she just slipped over in the shopping precinct, or, you know, now starting to think. And then why would she be at work? Because she can't carry it well, because she's got nothing else to do. She might as well just come to work and just chat to them, you know. So now I'm firing on that now, thinking if we do go down that road, what will it be? Because I don't think you could have it without explaining it.
Will you see every show, Sally? Will you see every performance?
I'll certainly see every preview.
Yeah.
Because that's when you still fiddle and faddle and check if a moment works. And then I keep putting in my diary when pals are coming, although I'm dreading my dad coming.
Oh, really?
You know, there's a few swear words, and my dad's a bit old school working class, like, you know, remember in the old days where you used to go to the snug where you could have a right good F and Jaff where the women weren't, you know, he's from that generation. And my sister, who's the middle child, so she's a little bit more fusses around my parents, she keeps saying, you know, it's about sex, Dad. And he's like, yes, right. So she's just already trying to nudge him off the horse.
You magnify everything when it's your parents, don't you? You absolutely.
You look at it.
15 years old when I'm 47. I'm 15 years old when my dad's in the room. I'm like that. My personality goes, see ya, and I'm just left there like that. It's just weird, isn't it? Like,
you just don't want to disappoint them, do you? It's, you know, it's funny because my son is now sitting his GCSEs. And in the play, the girls have just sat their GCSEs and they're waiting for the results, O-levels, of course, then. And I did an interview with a magazine yesterday, and I was saying to the guy, when I sat my O-levels, I had zero understanding of why I was doing it. No one said, if you do well in this, you might get a really good job, or you might be able to leave this town that you're a bit frustrated at. Nobody, nothing. Had no connection. My son wants to be a pilot. He knows that he needs maths. I was just sat there going, why are we doing this? The only reason that I sat the exam was so I didn't get bollocked by my dad. It was the only reason. So that's the other thing the play's about, is reasons and choices. And so these girls are waiting for the results, but they don't really know why or what it's going to change. No one's ever mentioned university to them. Or
a Bill fan, I'll give him a shout out because it seems appropriate. He's called Patrick Stratford, and he's been working in a small Scottish town in an Argos for 10 years, and he's just left to go. He wants to visit every single UK city in the next 12 months, and he's been saving and saving.
Love him.
He came down to the Bill reunion last month, came down to London, got a B&B, and, you know, saw London. and now he's finished his last shift and he's off to explore the UK, and
Oh my God, that's a movie.
Yeah.
it is, isn't it? And
Yeah,
he's an absolutely lovely guy, and like,
Good for you, Patrick.
yeah.
respect.
That's one of
Yeah.
them things people talk about doing and don't do, isn't it? Going back to what we were saying about, I've got an idea for a play. Okay, what's the next? It's like, save up. Have you looked at your map? Have you? You know what I mean? There's so many actually going and doing it. Yeah, fair play. Yeah.
Do you have a I know it's hard to say a favourite moment, or perhaps a line of dialogue, Sal, that you're looking forward to an audience hearing, or
I'm enough of a comedic actor to understand that the way you bounce a line will either make an audience laugh or not. So I suppose I'm probably just curious to know if those lines will land. So there's a few of those I've got on my sleeve that I'm hoping for. There's a character in it called Bernice. And yesterday I went on a Facebook page, I never do Facebook, to try and find the original Bernice from my hometown. And so I just went on something called Marple Memories, which is the village that I lived in. I just thought, anybody know a woman called Bernice? And they've all come back with age, surname, photo. And I was like, oh, I thought it was a really unique name. And they're like, no, I knew a Bernice Yates, a Bernice Francis, So I'm dying to know whether I can find this woman. And I would love to bring her to see the play, because there's a character named after her and sort of inspired by her in many ways.
I'm happy just as I am.
But we need to be remembered for something.
Like what?
Like a heist in British home stores with navy berets and red lipstick, a stylish heist.
Nothing worth stealing in British homes stores.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
It's money for old road.
Yeah, but then you take it back.
And where will we get the berets?
No, don't worry about
The
that.
only place that sells them
Isn't the point?
is British home stores.
Stop getting twisted in the detail.
I just want to really reach out to anybody who thinks that going to the theatre is intimidating or not for them. This is your story. This is about people who maybe don't have the confidence to do something or to step out of their comfort zone. It's easy to find the theatre. It's easy to book a ticket. It's only an hour and 40 minutes long. It's not highbrow. It's not intimidating. It's about working class people who have an intention to be a little bit better than they are. And I just would really, really beg anyone who feels that going to the theatre is not for them to rethink that. We'd love to see you afterwards and say hi. And going to the theatre is a bloody brilliant, sexy, dynamic experience. I don't really like going to the movies. I find it a little bit soulless and cold. But at the theatre, you're all there on the roller coaster together and you just go off on it. And it's thrilling. It really is thrilling. Please come and let us know when you come in, and we'll meet you afterwards. And it's the 80s. I mean, the 80s, like, they were mad.
Yeah.
They were more than just funny clothes. It was a funny time, and some weird stuff went down.
We see you next week, Ollie, don't we? No, the week after.
yeah,
That's nice.
June is
The 7th. Come and find us, won't you? Because there's a lot of starry faces that night, so don't go on the back foot. Come and push your way and say hiya.
I certainly will. Almost there, legends. Well
Yeah.
done.
See you on the other side.
Oh, I'm excited. Thank you
Yeah.
both so much for doing this as well.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. See you on the 7th.
Hey, guys, I've got to tell you something, right? I've never said this to anyone. Last night, right, I was...
What a ledge.